Om Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अथ ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थितम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततः मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि अथैददप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यथात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यथात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नोद्विजते लोकः लोकान्नोद्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैः मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः।
Clarifications by Jayaraman. First, how to stop adding karma? Is dropping doership the only way, or are there more ways? Question number 2. We'll take it up later. First we'll take the first question. How to stop adding karma? Is doership the only way to reduce the adding up of karmas, or are there other ways? Karma, here when we talk about the word karma, it is used in the sense of the karma pala. So when he says there is a, so in this question, how do we stop adding karma means what he is asking is how do we stop adding karma pala. Now, what are all the ways by which you can stop reducing karma pala? No. Is dropping the doership the only way, or there are many other ways? Isavasya Upanishad says, na karma lipyate nare. Actions do not stain. It means performing actions in a particular way will not stain. What is that particular way in which you perform actions? You perform actions. There are various grades. You cannot drop doership straight away. There are various grades by which you can slowly get rid of the doership. Sorry, karma pala, not doership, the karma pala. First thing is the very karma pala comes because of actions performed under the influence of raga dvesha without worrying about any means, consequences. So first thing is you reduce the karma pala. The starting point of reducing the karma pala is by bringing in dharma. By performing, by living a dharmic life, trying to fulfill raga dveshas, using dharma, the karma pala is taken care of at level number 1. And that will give you inner maturity, that will give you inner strength to, to study deeper, to worship deeper. With that strength that you gather to study deeper and worship deeper, you have the possibility of the other thing. The possibility of the other thing is performing actions, like he said in verse number 9, 10, performing actions for my sake. Then what happens? You continue to do that. Then what happens? You evolve to the next stage. The next stage of vairagya. At that stage, you worry about dropping the doership. So you can't start by worrying about the doership. You have to start by, the question is, what are all the steps? The steps is, number 1, dharma. First, to avoid karma pala, start living dharmically. Number 2 is from dharma, you move on to karma yoga. And then you bring in God, worshipping God, etc. By continuous practices of all these things, there is an inner strength, maturity, which will give you the capacity to digest the knowledge. At that point in time, doership, you can drop the doership. So the stopping the doership is the ultimate step in preventing karma pala, not in the beginning. Therefore, these are the steps. Next one, Chorba. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 27 states that all actions are performed by the 3 modes of nature, sattva, rajas, and tamas. If so, how is our Atma and Prakriti related, connected? Again, chapter 3, verse 27 states, all actions are performed by the 3 modes of sattva, rajas, and tamas. If so, how is our Atma and Prakriti related or connected? Now, answering this clarification, statement number 1, Gita says all actions are performed by the 3 gunas. Now, the 2 words, Atma and Prakriti. If you use the word Atma in the sense of Brahman, how we use the word Atma here, and what do we mean by the word Prakriti here? The word Atma means Brahman, the enlivener. Atma means Brahman, the enlivener. Prakriti means a unique proportion of the gunas with which you are born. That is Prakriti. Even though everything is made up of the three gunas, what brings the differences? The differences is in the proportion of the mixture. So Prakriti means the mixture with which we are. Prakriti means the mixture with which we are born, and all our actions will be driven by that mixture. So what is the connection between Atma and Brahman and Prakriti? What is the connection between Atman and Prakriti? The connection between Atma and Prakriti is level number 1, there is no connection. At the highest level, there is no connection because it is a superimposition. Now, we don't take that stance in chapter 3. In chapter 3, we don't, in fact, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, very rarely he takes that angle of superimposition and all. He always takes it from a very different angle. And what is a different angle? The different angle is he is more addressing the problem of Karma Yoga and evolving into Vairagya Jnana Yoga. The scripture that talks about moksha will worry about superimposition a lot. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not worried about, it's not that he is dismissing moksha, he is more interested in preparing Arjuna for moksha. Because he is more interested in preparing Arjuna for moksha, the way certain terminologies will be used very differently. What is the way? Brahman, Atman here means the God, the enlivener. Actions are done by the three gunas. Prakriti means the unique proportion with which you are born. That is Prakriti. Even though Prakriti, the general meaning of the word Prakriti is nature. The unique proportion of the three gunas with which you are born, and you perform actions according to the mixture with which you are born. Next one. Jairam, is it okay? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Is it okay, Jairam?
Sir, yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Right. Next one. Context. Puranic stories have a different approach to God. There is no Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman in them. In Puranic stories, Vishnu, Shiva, Hanuman, and others can become cults in themselves. This is the context. Clarification. What are the indicators of a cult? The indicators of a cult is very straightforward. The indicator of a cult is fanaticism. That is cult. What is fanaticism? Fanaticism means only this, nothing else. My viewpoint is wrong, the rest are all, my viewpoint is right, rest are all wrong. So, cult about Shiva is Shiva alone is God. So if you cross the Vishnu temple, what will the Shiva person do? He will close his eyes. You know that? He will close his eyes. He will not even look at it as a temple. He will not even want to come. So similarly, Vishnu as a cult, what will happen? Oh, Shiva temple is the Naraka. Other things are okay, but this is not okay. This can happen in everything. A Catholic will be able to accommodate everybody except a Protestant. A Protestant will be able to accommodate everybody except a Catholic. Shia versus Sunni. Now, so you see this kind of cult in all religions. Cult means what? Fanaticism. What is fanaticism? you divide the truth into right and wrong. In Ishtadevata, we don't divide the truth into right and wrong. Ishtadevata is not a cult. Ishtadevata is the God that is able to inspire you. That's all. Krishna cannot be universally inspiring. Rama cannot be universally inspiring. So, Rama inspires you, Rama becomes your Ishtadevata. Hanuman inspires you, Hanuman becomes your Ishtadevata. So, Ishtadevata is not a cult. You understand the difference? It is your inspiration. That's all. Your inspiration doesn't mean rest are all bad, wrong, inferior. Like for example, take a simple example. Supposing a person, okay, I like Rajinikanth and I will vote for him as the best actor in all the movies, even though he doesn't know acting at all. He doesn't know what acting is. God only knows, but we like him only for that. We don't want. Now that is what is my preference rather than a universal standard. You follow? Cult means what I prefer should become the universal standard is the cult. What I prefer, what motivates me, what inspires me should become the should be the norm for the entire universe. Anybody who doesn't agree to it will be cursed to go to hell. This is called a cult. You understand the difference? Puranic stories don't turn into cult. The followers at some point in time convert it into cult. What I meant in that statement is Puranic stories don't promote cult. Puranic stories Puranic stories is like buffet. You know, you go there are so many items there, you go and pick that which motivates you, that which inspires you, you pick up. You follow? They don't promote cult. At some point in time, the devotees, the followers convert it into cult. And this happens everywhere. Huh? This happens everywhere. Cult means that which promises. Cult means why people fall for cult? Because cult promises. What is the promise that cult will give? The promise that cult will give is, as you are, I will take you, don't worry. It will not talk about dharma, it will not talk about karma yoga, it will not talk about tapas, it will not talk about chitta shuddhi, etc. Don't worry. As you are, just a little bit, one or two things you do, I will take you. This is the cult. So people fall for it. You follow? So the Puranas are not promoters of cult. At some point in time, people convert it into cult. Why people convert it into cult? Don't blame the teachers alone. Wherever there is cult, don't blame the teachers alone. Demand and supply. People also want that. People also want quick results. People also want so demand and supply. There is a whole lot. Remember that example I always give. If there is Gautam Buddha walking on the road, and then the guy who's selling talisman walks on the road, crowd will go to whom? In this classroom, we will say Buddha. After the class on the roadside, we will go to the talisman only. In this classroom, answer will be Buddha. On the roadside, if you see, no, sir, just to be on the safe side, I can do both, no? For Buddha, long-term solution, the talisman, immediate solution. Yes. Next question. How do we differentiate a cult from an authentic sampradaya? Next question. How do you differentiate a cult from an authentic sampradaya? I answered it already, but I'm putting it again. The difference, the authentic sampradaya says, I will help you, I will walk with you, but I am not promising anything. You need to do your work. That is authentic sampradaya. Again, I repeat, authentic sampradaya says, I will walk with you. I am there with you in every step, but you must to do something. Because you have joined my group doesn't mean automatically, because you have joined my group doesn't automatically mean you are taken care of. Are you able to understand the difference between cult and authentic sampradaya? It's a fundamental difference. Number two, authentic sampradaya will not be, you need to associate with it a lot to acquire the taste for authentic sampradaya. Cult will be straight away, cult will straight away appeal to you. Anything that appeals to you straight away, understand it's cult. That's all. Authentic sampradaya cannot impress you straight away because it involves hard work. You follow? You go there and the fellow says, Bahunam Janmanam Mante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. Another person says, don't worry, everything will be, all that you have to do is what? Just keep just keep listening to me, just keep chanting my name, everything is taken care of. What will people like? You follow the difference? Authentic sampradaya will walk with you, but it will not take responsibility for your growth. Cult says, we will take care of the major work, you do the minor work. What is the minor work that you have to do? Just to pay the subscription fees. Saumitra, you understand? No, cult means it will say minimum work you have to do. What is the minimum work that you have to do? There is a prescribed subscription fee, pay that subscription fee. You are all right. Sampradaya says there is no subscription fee, there is no nothing. I will walk with you. I will be with you step by step. But the work has to be done by you. Understand the difference? Do we have subscription fees, Venkat? I think we should also have some subscription fees now. Yeah, then we are also, then we are battling, isn't it? For yajna, we are sitting and discussing what to do, what to do, what to do. We will also have some subscription fees. And if there is a subscription fee, Amit, what should you do? Switch off and walk out. Switch off and walk out from that place. You will be saved. You follow the difference between the cult and the authentic sampradaya? This is the difference between the cult and the authentic sampradaya. Okay, anyway, because you have used the word authentic sampradaya, I'm using it. Sampradaya itself means authentic. That's all. Cult versus sampradaya. That's all it is. Sampradaya, in a very loose way, it will be called as tradition. It's not tradition. Proven, established knowledge is called sampradaya. Remember that. The Sanskrit word sampradaya, science is a sampradaya. On what is it tradition? It's not tradition. It is what is meant by sampradaya tradition? A proven, established knowledge is called sampradaya. A proven, established practices is called sampradaya. Most of the time, the word sampradaya is used in the sense of the way you tie the sari, the way you tie the dhoti. Now, it doesn't really matter in what way you tie the sari, or even if you don't tie the sari also doesn't matter. So, sampradaya is not those kind of things. Are you able to follow? Most of the time, people misunderstand sampradaya means certain practices. Sampradaya is not that. Sampradaya is well established, proven knowledge. How do we say well established and proven knowledge? The best brains of every generation look into it, question it, understood it, gotten the benefit, and they transfer to the next. This is called sampradaya. Don't forget the meaning of the word sampradaya. Write it down and keep it somewhere in your head. Sampradaya means the best brains of every generation will investigate into it. 5,000 years of Bhagavad Gita, the best brains of every generation has investigated into it. It wasn't maintained just by mere chanting. If it can be maintained by mere chanting, 30, 40 years, it can't survive more than 30, 40 years. Can't survive like that. If it is surviving for hundreds and thousands of years, it means every generation, the best brains inquired about it, thought about it, questioned, did something, found it beneficial, and they transferred it to the next generation. This is called sampradaya. Transferring the knowledge from one generation to the next generation is called sampradaya. And when you transfer the knowledge, the container with which you will transfer, because knowledge cannot be transferred like that. Knowledge will always be transferred in a container. And as the society keeps changing, container keeps changing, knowledge will remain the same. Are you able to follow? As the society keeps changing, the container keeps changing. That's all. Mud pot used to carry milk. Now and then glass bottle. Every other day, the glass bottle was broken and milk is spilt. Then stainless steel and then plastic. Now, but then milk is what is? Milk is the sampradaya. Container keeps changing. Follow the difference? Milk is the sampradaya. Now, what we want to continue, what we want to transfer from generation to generation, the knowledge. And every generation will have a unique way of doing it. Therefore, and in sampradaya, we don't have a problem of rigidity over the container. Rigidity over the container is called cult. Vivekananda said it very beautifully. One of the lectures, he said it very beautifully. Religion in India is very easy, he said. Religion in India is very easy. Why? Because it's all confined to the kitchen, he said. What to eat, what not to eat. If you are very orthodox, in which vessel to cook, that's all he said. Religion is very easy. What to eat, what not to eat, and in which vessel to cook. Now, this is not the knowledge. You follow? So, sampradaya means the best brains of every generation investigates. Imagine Shankaracharya investigated, Ramanuja investigated, Madhvacharya investigated. I'm talking about the last 1,000 years of known people that we know. Vidyaranya investigated. The Maratha saints investigated. The best brains of every generation investigated and they carried forward and they passed on. This is sampradaya. Next one. Are Vedic and Puranic gods learning constructs or hallucinations made by enlightened rishis for our spiritual evolution? Or are they real on the relative level? For example, there is some historical evidence for the evidence of existence of Rama in Ayodhya. There is Mount Kailash for Shiva. For deities like Saraswati, Lakshmi, Surya, Agni, there is Shabda Pramanam. Are they personifications of different aspects of life and the universe? Are you able to follow the question? Are Vedic gods and Puranic gods learning constructs or hallucinations made by enlightened rishis? This is the question. Answer. Enlightened people don't hallucinate. You only hallucinate. Myth. What kind of a question is that? Every week is irritating me now. And all my motivation is gone now. Amit, you follow? Enlightened people don't hallucinate. You only hallucinate. You means everybody in this classroom, including you. Maybe you have a PhD in hallucination. That is possible. You are correct. They are learning constructs. Learning constructs means something for a specific purpose. Remember, we have spoken I do remember in the introduction of Bhakti Yoga, somewhere I spoke about God as why they introduce God with the form, etc. And we will talk about it again. We will talk about it again later. But to answer your question now, they are all true at the relative level. Remember, they are true at the relative level. In order to understand, I'll quickly give the various levels of God. At one level, okay, come from the highest definition of God, from the Upanishadic level. From the Upanishadic level, from the Upanishadic level, God alone is. There is only God. Instead of saying only God, we'll say God alone is. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That is the highest definition. But then we are seeing various things. So that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya definition is not applicable at all for us. So that definition goes out. Then we are coming down. When we come down, what do we see? We see lot of transactions happening. When we see lot of transactions happening, we divide it into two. What are the here? God becomes the enlivener, Sakshi Chaitanyam. That's another definition of God. It's coming now. Sakshi Chaitanya. God is an enlivener of everything. All these are classic grades in Vedantic definitions. From there, we will go down to Bhagavad Gita level now. I'm not saying Bhagavad Gita is not Vedanta. What I mean by Vedanta here is pure Jnana Yoga Advaita. Now, if these, now Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya is not very helpful, Sakshi Chaitanyam is not that. Sakshi Chaitanya means enlivener and objective to that which is enlivens, like the sunlight, like the petrol in the car, all that. Now, that is also very difficult to comprehend. Then comes down. Where would you come down then? Where would you come down then? This is where it will branch off into a few things. At this level only, it will branch off. Supposing if you can understand petrol in the car and Sakshi Chaitanyam, there's no branching off. Because it is too difficult to comprehend it, even though theoretically we may talk about all these things, on a practical plane, this God doesn't give us any motivation for mumukshatva. You hear petrol in the car, are you motivated for mumukshatva, vairagya? Are you able to drop raga dvesha? It doesn't happen because of all these things. Therefore, what they did, the rishis, not in their hallucinations, in their wisdom and compassion. In their wisdom and compassion, they bring it down. And when they bring it down, it will branch off into a few things. When it branches off, there can be a little bit of confusion. How does it branch off? Suddenly, 3-4 gods will come in now only. When it is branching off. Now it is branching off because of our inability, not because God is branching off. Are you able to follow? What is our inability? In that level, God will be given various things. One way of describing God will be creator, maintainer, destroyer. God is the creator, maintainer, destroyer, because we are able to see the world more real. Because we are able to see the world more real, the God must be taken from the world and then moved back. The principle of education, from the known to the unknown. World is known, world is more real. Therefore, from the world, go to God. So what is the first thing? God is the creator, maintainer, destroyer. Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara is one. This is not the only one. Nah? This is one. Then God creates the world by becoming the world. Another definition of God. What all definitions of God possible I am giving you, hoping that something will motivate you. If nothing is motivating you, we'll come up with another definition next week, Jaira. Something we will come up with next week also. Where is the problem? You follow? God has become God created the world by becoming the world. Therefore, whatsoever you see in this world is God, etc. This is also difficult. Please understand, up to Sakshi Chaitanyam and other things, no form is required. The moment we start talking about God as in lower levels, form becomes a must. That's why creator, maintainer, destroyer aspect of God will have a form. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Are you able to follow? Will have a form. And then various goals that we have will become God. All the goals that we have becomes God. What is the world? There's no such thing as world. It is God in various Nama Rupa. Another definition of God. This is also a bit complicated, sir. Form and this and all I don't believe in because I'm not able to see anything. This also is not possible. Now, what is possible? This is also not possible. And the rishis don't leave you. The great rishis don't leave you. They come down and they start giving another meanings to God, another definitions to God. Beautiful definition they give. What is it? Here, God becomes the one who's presiding over the law of karma, dharma. So here, God becomes the one who presides over dharma and then gives the results according to karma, according to your karma pala data. You follow? Now, all these various things is conceivable with a form. Therefore, they brought in forms. Therefore, they brought in forms. This is the Puranic style. This is the very Shastric style. Distinct and different from that is extraordinary human beings who tried to live a dharmic life, the fluctuations they went through, and they didn't yield to the fluctuation and attained liberation. You follow? There are, so Rama, etc., come to that, belong to that category. Over a period of time, they themselves become God. These are the various steps. Therefore, all these are learning constructs, definitely real at a relative level. As long as the world is real to you, these things are real. If that day you understand the world is unreal, all this becomes unreal. You follow the distinction, Amit? Very good clarification. As long as the world is real, God with the form is real. Because world is real because form is real to you. As long as the world is real, form will be real. The moment you say the world is mithya, everything becomes mithya. Now, in the world, you can't pick and choose. You can't say the person sitting next to me is real and the God in Rupa, I don't accept. God in form, I don't accept, but the person sitting next to me is real. You can't say that. You understand the difference? If the person sitting next to me is real, if me as an individual is real, God as a form is also real. Now, where comes the problem in confusion? Where comes the confusion? Where we totally lack clarity is, we take our form to be real. We take the person sitting next to me as real. Only when it comes to God, we are worried about how can God have a form. So absurd it is. Are you able to follow? I agree, I have a form. I agree that person sitting next to me has a form. But when it comes to God, no, sir, God and all. Why? It means you are not yet matured to see the invisible in the visible. Because you are not matured to see the invisible in the visible has to be broken up and shown. Are you able to follow? This is the learning construct. It's a very beautiful Vedic method. Mm. Yeah. Chapter 12, verse number 10. we had asked. Question number 1. Action and consequence to the action. Does action decide by itself? Can action decide by itself the consequence? My doubt is, why did you choose to raise this question? All along, we have learned that every action has a consequence, and that understanding has always felt convincing. Like when one touches fire, the fingers naturally get burnt. So I was wondering what deeper point or perspective you are trying to bring out through this question. Action decides the consequence by itself. If you say that action is performed by that which is action by nature is inert, performed by matter, is not intelligent. There is an invisible intelligence that is ensuring that action will be, whatever action you do, there will be an appropriate result. So that invisible intelligence I wanted to bring in. That invisible intelligence is what we call as God. Now you put another definition of God now. The upholder of dharma means invisible intelligence. Are you able to follow? Now, that invisible intelligence, which is dharma, if there is something that is well organized and effectively functioning, what do we infer? It is an inference. What do we infer? There is something that has to be supremely intelligent that is managing this whole thing. Are you able to follow? Because action by itself is not intelligent. What is action? What is action? Driven by a vasana. I want this, I don't want this. Are you able to follow? How can that be so supremely intelligent as in creating such a effective law? Are you able to follow? Therefore, I wanted to, in the context of Bhakti Yoga, the deeper perspective that I want to bring in is God is an invisible intelligence that ensures that everything is done according to the law with which he created. To establish that, which is that is the deeper perspective. You follow? That's the deeper perspective.
So that's why you asked the question.
Yes. That's why I asked this question. Can action decide the consequence by itself? If action can decide the consequence by itself, supreme intelligence and all doesn't come into picture. Action cannot decide by itself. Action is inert by nature. How do we say action is inert by nature? To say action is inert by nature, what is driving action? What is driving action? Ragadvesha. What is Ragadvesha? Likes and dislikes. Imagine a group of people acting on conflicting Ragadvesha. Are you able to follow now? You are not the only individual acting. I am not the only individual acting. There is this entire creation where people are acting according to conflicting Ragadvesha. It should be chaotic, no? But then it's not at all chaotic. Everybody gets it. It means what? There is something that is ensuring that it comes. That invisible intelligence, or you can say that invisible cosmic intelligence. You can add you can keep adding words also to it. Or you can say invisible cosmic intelligence. When you realize there is an invisible cosmic intelligence, the mind will bow down to that. Because in Bhakti Yoga, we are trying how to bow down. In Bhakti Yoga, we are trying how to bow down. If action is producing a consequence, the doer says, I am Kartrutva only is increasing. If action can produce a consequence, as the doer, I am deciding everything. What is happening? Ego is only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Where is bowing down happening? In Bhakti Yoga, bowing down should happen. In order to bow down, at the relative level, we need to accept God as an invisible cosmic intelligence that ensures that at a superficial level, it's so chaotic. What is chaotic? Everybody's acting with conflicting ragadvesha. What is conflicting ragadvesha? Example. You go to the temple. Okay. There's a temple in the hospital. Doctor is saying, take care of me, to God. Patient is saying, take care of me, to God. Conflicting ragadvesha. Correct? Vijayarangan. Correct? Huh? Are they in alignment? Are they in conflict? If God has to take care of the patient, he must, I don't know, he or she God. He or she God. That God must straight away send the patient out of the hospital. If God has to take care of the doctor, that God has to ensure that the patient will be in the hospital for a few more days. How does it work? Actions are driven by conflicting ragadveshas. That's where I used to wonder how it is not chaotic, because it has to be chaotic. If you really look at it, it has to be chaotic. But then it's not at all chaotic. Why? From this we infer there is an invisible cosmic intelligence holding the entire thing together. That's why the technical term for God in relation to karma is called karma dhyaksha and karma paladata. One who presides over the law and who ensures that the result comes according to the law. In order to explain that, to bow down, we brought in that point. You follow? Next one. Karma is inert, insentient. May I please ask, why do you describe karma as inert, almost as if it were an independent entity? When it comes to living beings, such a description is understandable. But in the case of karma, which is a verb and action, how can it be spoken of as it possesses an individual status? Is there anything else to this question or only this? Okay. Karma is inert, insentient. Why do you describe karma as inert, almost as if it were an independent entity? Karma is an independent entity. Action is an independent entity. Independent, not in the sense of having its own existence somewhere. It is intrinsically connected to the doer. Action doesn't exist without the instruments. Action doesn't exist without the doer. Then what do we say? Why do we say action is inert then? Are you able to follow? Which I already explained just now. By itself, it cannot do. By itself, it cannot do anything. Unless there is that cosmic invisible intelligence supporting it, driving it, keeping it orderly. In that sense, it is inert. Inert means doesn't have its own intelligence. Cosmic intelligence. Inert means it doesn't have anything of its own, or what it knows is only ignorance. Ignorance is inert by nature. Inert in the sense of, don't take it inert as in technical, scientific, worldly way of inert. It doesn't have anything of its own. It's a very unique Vedantic usage. You follow? You follow? How to bow down to fellow human beings? Next clarification. How to bow down to fellow human beings? By seeing that invisible God in them. Jairam. Wait from verse number 13 onwards in this chapter. We are going to study that in detail. Adveshta, Sarva Bhutana, Maitra, Karuna Evacha, etc. So when we go there, we will take it up in detail. Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam. That's how he starts. Beautiful quality. But I am so stuck in that progressive steps only. And I don't want to leave these progressive steps and go there. I'm trying to see how much I can stretch and stretch and stretch this progressive steps. You follow? We'll take it up in detail. Jairam is going to come there. Verse number 10. சொல்லுங்க கொளத்தூர். Yes. Yes.
So in that steps of defining the God from top to Sachidanandam, Sakshi Chaitanyam, creation, sustainer, and then Karma Paladaka, we had also said that the first level is Dharma, the law.
Yeah.
And you need to take that as the benchmark while you are acting in the world.
Yes.
At times, and you also said that Dharma will vary depending on the situation also. It is not that the static word Dharma is one principle and then you have to be sticking on to that. Depending on the situation, Dharma, you have to act interpreting that Dharma.
Correct.
But I am not prepared to, myself to interpret that Dharma to that situation, then I will be making a mistake only. I will continue to make mistake.
Correct.
And fail in the adopting that Dharma principle.
Yes.
See, that is my condition. And talking about the higher levels of evolution is away from my reach. There itself, the clarity is required. I have to tune myself, to how to interpret dharmic principle in every situation. There I am stuck in the sense of practical life application.
Correct.
You can throw some light on that aspect, because I am more, I don't want to compare. Most of the human beings are stuck in that level, especially adopting the dharmic principles to situation. Like,
correct.
Not taking onto the word by word.
Yeah. Kolatur. You don't interpret Dharma. Dharma is not to be interpreted. Dharma has to be followed. Law. Law has to be obeyed. Law has to be followed. 70-75% of the time we know the law. The Raga Dvesha overpowers us. So it is the overpowering Raga Dvesha. Are you able to follow? We have studied about the basic principles of Dharma a lot. So if you keep remembering those basic principles, you know that 70-80% of the time you know what to do, what not to do. Isn't it? The foundation principle of Dharma. What you don't want others to do to you, you don't do it to another. Most of the times, we don't have a problem of not knowing what Dharma is. Most of the time, we have the problem of not knowing how to manage Raga Dvesha. It's not the ignorance of Dharma the problem. It is managing Raga Dvesha is the problem. In order to manage Raga Dvesha, what needs to be done to manage Raga Dvesha? Management of Raga Dvesha comes when out of 10 times, 6-7 times, whatsoever I know as Dharma, if I follow that, that's enough. You really need not go into the intricacies of various aspects of Dharma, because only those who are above the law can fully interpret the law and give it to you. You cannot do it by yourself. Therefore, whatever situation I am in, if I can practice the existing law, that's more than enough. Out of 10 times, 6 times, 7 times, you know what to do, what not to do. Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha. Arjuna. Anichennapi Varshneya Baladiva Niyojita. Chapter 3 la ketarla. Remember that verse? Anichennapi Varshneya Baladiva Niyojita. Atakena Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purushaha. What is it that is driving the human being to do this? Atakena Prayuktoyam. What is pushing that person into all this? Papam Charati. Pushing that person into this papam. What is the answer he gave? Magnificent answer. Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhavaha, Mahashanaihi, Mahapapma, Vidyenam, Iha Vairinam. Beautiful question, beautiful answer. Papam Charati Purusha. What is it that is pushing? Krishna, what you are saying, I know, Krishna. Don't treat me like a kindergarten child. I am not a 12-year-old child, 15-year-old child. I know all that you are saying because I am a grandfather. I have taught so many people already. I am an achiever, not only an ordinary achiever. I am a high-end achiever also. Therefore, I also know all that you are saying. In spite of all this, atakena prayuktoyam. In spite of all this, papam charati purushaha. அப்படியே தமிழ்ல சொல்லணும், அப்படியே இழுத்துன்னு போறதுன்றாரு அவர். Papam charati puri, just dragging me inside doing this. Anichinnapi varshneya. I am not at all able to do anything about it. Anichinnapi, it looks like I'm absolutely under lack of control. Anichinnapi varshneya baladiva. Can I deal with that balam? Is it possible to deal with that baladiva niyojita? Is it possible at all? Chapter 3. Krishna gave an extraordinary answer. Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. Tamoguna Samudbhavahan Solalanga. Rajoguna Udbhavaha. Tamoguna fellow, what can you do? Nothing can be done to the Tamoguna fellow. Therefore, he didn't say Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Tamoguna Samudbhavaha. He said Kamayesha, Krodayesha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. The Rajoguna Udbhavaha. It is the Kama and Krodha Arjuna. How to handle that? Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha guhyate. Again, same chapter. Abhyas. And throughout Gita, Krishna uses the word abhyasa many a times. Even now, I am stuck with that word abhyasa. Even now, I am stuck with the same word abhyasa. What a beautiful word that abhyasa is. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha guhyate. By constant practice. What is it that doesn't allow you to practice it? Ragadvesha. Out of 10 times, 6 times you can practice. 7 times you can practice. That 6-7 times practice will give you the strength to handle the other 3. Now the other 3 you cannot handle. You need guidance to handle the other 3. There he says, don't worry, that guidance will come to you. The guidance will knock at your door and give you the advice and go away. You need not bother about it. You follow? The advice will come and knock at your door and give and walk away. It has absolutely no, as long as you are sticking to that dharma. You follow? Beautiful question. Bhaladiva niyo, abdiye ilthin borvan. Not able to control at all. In chapter 2, he said, the senses drag the mind, and the mind drags the buddhi, balam. And that balam can be dealt only by abhyasa. And abhyasa means not knowing. Abhyasa means making an effort to postpone. Step number 1 is postpone ragadvesha. Postpone ragadvesha means, we are going to see all that now. Don't worry. Verse number 10, 11, 12, we are going to see all that. What all practical ways we can do this abhyasa. That's why I'm still stuck with these in this complicated explanation of Bhakti Yoga, we ventured into. Previously, we would have never heard this kind of Bhakti Yoga description that we are doing now. We got into this complicated, not I got into this complicated இல்லையா அது நாங்களாம் வடிவேல் மாதிரி எப்போதுமே நாங்கன்னு தான் சொல்லிக்குவோம் இல்ல சரியா Vijayarangan, why are you laughing? In a Bhagavad Gita class, you are supposed to be serious, not making. Don't laugh. You follow? Because it's very important. Verse number 10. Verse number 10. And what did he say in verse number 10? If you are incapable of even abhyasa, abhyasa kaunteya vairagyana cha guhyate, I have said. If you are incapable of even abhyasa regarding my action as supreme, even performing actions for my sake, you shall attain perfection. What is performing actions for his sake means? I am doing this for you. We go and tell somebody on a very ordinary plane. What can I do for you? I am doing this for you. If in all these statements, what can I do for you? I am doing this for your sake. What does that statement mean? Doing according to your likes and dislikes, preferences. Correct? I am doing this for you means doing according to your likes and dislikes. What can I do for you means what is it that you like me to do? So actions for your sake implies performing actions for the likes and dislikes of another. Now here he is saying perform actions for my sake. What is his likes and dislikes? What is his likes and dislikes? Don't say he doesn't have any likes and dislikes. Huh? Don't give like a Shankaracharya kind of answer. What is his likes and dislikes? Dharma, adharma is his likes and dislikes. Performing actions for my sake means there is the world and this world is maintained by the law, and me as the maintainer of the law, I don't want any nuisance. How do you become a nuisance? Performing actions for my sake means don't become a nuisance to me. God is telling you, don't become a nuisance to me. When do you become a nuisance to God? When you are not performing actions for his sake. What is his sake means? Everything in creation does what they ought to do. Why can't you also do the same thing? Everything in creation does what they ought to do. You also know what to do. You also know what you ought to do. Why don't you do that? This is called performing actions for my sake. So doing nishkama karma purely is called performing actions for my sake, and this doing nishkama karma purely is what we have studied as karma yoga, yajna karma. Are you able to follow? This is what we studied as everything in creation does what they ought to do. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? This is called performing actions for my sake. Meaning there is a overall creation. There is an overall harmony. There is overall thing. Now, what is performing actions for my sake means? Don't do anything that will disturb that harmony. At least you understand there's a harmony outside. Don't worry about here. See the shift. He's no more talking about worshipping me and all here. He's talking about action. Previously, he spoke about worshipping. Now he's changed the word to action. These are all the subtle shifts that you should notice. And only when you notice these subtle shifts, you'll be able to understand it rightly. You follow? Fix your mind steadily on me. That is called worshipping me. Fix your mind steadily on me. If you are unable to fix your mind steadily on me, seek to reach me by abhyasa. Now, all that he spoke about the mind till now, mind, mind, mind. Because it comes to mind, subtler things, we talk about it as mind bhakti. Now, he's no more talking about the mind. He started talking about action. What is he talking about as action now? If you are incapable of even abhyasa, regard my action as supreme. What is his action? What is God's action? God's action is maintainer of dharma is God's action. Are you able to follow? What is God action? Maintainer of dharma. Even doing action for my sake, you shall attain siddhim avapsyasi. You shall attain siddhi. You shall attain perfection. Siddhi means perfection. What is perfection here? Don't say self-realization. Sequence has to be very clearly known. Siddhi means you shall attain perfection. Perfection here doesn't mean enlightenment. Perfection here means jnana yogyata prapti. You will be qualified to receive the Upanishadic wisdom, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Moksha. Don't forget the formula. Don't say independently everything is giving moksha. Jnana yogena sankyanam karma yogena yoginam. The sequence is very clear. Even this will, you shall attain perfection is not you will attain self-realization. You shall attain perfection means you will attain jnana yogyata prapti. Jnana yogyata prapti means Atma Bodha, verse number 1. Tapo vikshina papanam shantanam vitaraginam mumukshu nama bekshoyam Atma Bodho vidiyate. You will be qualified for Atma Bodha, and that Atma Bodha will give you liberation. Actually, Atma Bodha doesn't give you jnanam. Atma Bodha tells you you are that already. That's how it goes. Are you able to follow? Now, even if you are not able to perform this, even if you are not able to do this, why did we say that it is difficult to do? Because it means you have to sit in front of a god, a deity, do some puja, do some chanting, little bit of adrishta comes in, and your mind is not at all cooperating with anything adrishta. For everything you want a drishta. Drishta means I want something, I want something, I want something. Take away. What is the takeaway? Tamasic buddhi it is. Tamasic buddhi. What is the takeaway? What is the takeaway? What is the takeaway? You can't even wait for 30 days to work and then get the salary. You want to work in the morning and take the salary in the evening. What will you do with that? That is that buddhi. What is the practical takeaway from this, sir? I'll say tamasic buddhi you have, I'll say. Why? Because it's like that mindset where you want to work in the morning and you want to take the salary in the evening. Can you achieve anything in that way? You can't achieve anything in that way. Why do we give once in a month? Why can't we distribute it every day? Why do we do it once in a month? Then only you can plan, you can program, you can say there's so many growth possibilities is there only. But then if it is given every day, what will you do? What is the takeaway, sir? What is the takeaway, sir? Because you are so focused on takeaway, you are not able to do abhyasa. Because if I chant, if I sit in front of God and light the lamp and do this, what will I get? God only knows what will you get. Then I will not do it. If you are unable to do this abhyasa, perform actions for my sake. Even doing actions for my sake, you will attain success. Because very difficult to do to sit and do anything is impossible. Abhyasa means sitting and doing. Upanishad means permanent sitting. Here it is temporary sitting. Abhyasala, you sit temporarily. In Upanishad, you sit permanently, but we want to sit. We want to sit. We don't want to keep jumping. Monkey mother, we don't want to keep jumping. We want to just, we want to sit. If you can't even sit for 5 minutes, in the 18th chapter, he is going to say this. What he's saying now, actually what he starts in, yesterday, I don't know when I spoke about this, Upakrama, Upasamhara. I don't know when I spoke, somewhere I remember I was talking about it. So many people I'm talking to, beyond a point, I forget where I'm talking what. In verse number 31 of chapter 2, he starts beautifully with Karma Yoga. He introduces Karma Yoga there very beautifully. Right up to he will talk, various things he will talk, and so beautifully he concludes in chapter 18, verse 46. Same thought flow he will continue. Magnificent way of teaching it is. Chapter 18, verse number 46. He will say, Swakarmana tamabhyarchaha siddhim vindati manavaha. Swakarma Arjuna. Swadharma Arjuna. If you can't do this abhyasa and all, do Swadharma. That is why, sir, at 80, I want to know what is my swabhava. Forget it. Why even now that I am 80, I want to know whether what is my swabhava. At 80, instruments has to be, hearing aid has to be put. That's all. That is swabhava. What is there to worry? Are you able to follow? You have done something. No, that's your swabhava. What is the problem? Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. Chapter 18, verse number 46. How do you attain that? What is performing actions for my sake means? Performing actions for my sake means performing swakarma karma. Performing swakarma karma is performing actions for my sake. What is swakarmana? What is swakarma? Doing what is called for at any given time and situation. At any given time and situation, you know what to do. You know what to do, what not to do. This knowing what to do, what not to do is called dharma, kolatur. Are you able to follow? At any given time and situation, at any given point in time, you know what to do, what not to do. Here, it is not an act of worshipping God. Here, it becomes an act of remembering dharma, and your actions are in conformity with dharma. Are you able to follow? If you are doing that, then he says you are performing actions for my sake. Action for my sake means actions in conformity with obligatory duties. Nitya Naimittika karma alone. Nitya Naimittika karma alone is performing actions for my sake. Why? Because everything in creation does their Nitya karmas. Only in the human categories we are dividing into Nitya karma, Naimittika karma, Kamya karma, Nishiddha karma. All these confusions we are bringing only for human beings. Remove the human beings and see everything in creation. Everything does what they ought to do. And what is it that they ought to do is called Nitya karma. So what is the Nitya karma of the sun? What is the Nitya karma of the sun? To give light and heat. Okay, every day I'm giving light and heat. Why not I take a break? Every day, the cow says, every day I'm trying to eat grass, 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 grass. Now, why not for a change, try different cuisine? Why not try that? Everything in creation does. Everything in creation does what they ought to do. Nitya karma. Because everything is doing their nitya karma, there is harmony. Even though you go to the jungle, which is supposed to be a battlefield, there is harmony there. Everything does what they ought to do. What is it that they ought to do? The proportion of consumption versus contribution. What is it ought to do means the proportion of consumption versus contribution. How much I plan for consumption, when it comes to contribution, I don't plan at all. In fact, I plan anti-contribution, isn't it? But I plan so much for consumption. Yeah. So Nitya, so Abhyasepi asamartha. Samarthyamilla. Asamartyaha. Asamartya. Previous verse he said. Previous verse he said asamartyaha. Asamartyaha samarthyam illa. Samarthyam illa daddin artham. இல்லையா முட்டாள்னு அர்த்தம். சாமர்த்தியம் இல்லைன்னா தத்தி முட்டாள்னு அர்த்தம். அசாமர்த்தியம் அதெல்லாம் சில சன்ஸ்கிரிட் வேர்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் so beautiful, but we don't even want to say that very clearly. அபியாச அசமர்த்தியம். அசமர்த்தியம்னா சாமர்த்தியமே இல்லை. சாமர்த்தியமே இல்லாதவங்க தான் கர்மயோகா பண்ணணும். Look at that. Look at that. The fellow who doesn't have any samarthya will do this. Abhyase asamarthya. Asamarthya, samarthya means none. Why? Because he's not able to sit. What is the human being? The capacity to sit and able to infer the invisible in the visible. That is the samarthyam of a human being. If the human being is not having the samarthyam, what will he do? Go to perform actions for my sake. Meaning, your raga dvesha must be given up for a higher purpose. Your raga dvesha must be given up is karma yoga. Now, if you have to give up your raga dvesha, you must have something higher. For that, you can give up. Therefore, we say karma yoga means giving up raga dvesha for a higher purpose. In fact, there's no need to say higher purpose and all. You need to say giving up raga dvesha. Now, how can you give up raga dvesha? Only when you have something, only when you have a higher purpose. Higher purpose means is a larger circle with which you want to identify. Imagine there are two human beings, the mother and the daughter. The mother likes the chocolate. The daughter also likes the chocolate. And there is only one chocolate. Mother hides the chocolate from the daughter and eats it. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Again, did you hear the example correct, Rashekar? Kadala correcta undada? There is a 3-year-old daughter liking chocolate, and then there is a 30-year-old mother liking chocolate, and there is only one chocolate, and the 30-year-old mother hides from the 3-year-old daughter and eats the chocolate. What is it called? Ragadvesha it is. This is how Ragadvesha performs. Are you able to follow? This is how Ragadvesha makes us to do actions. Now, what is Karma Yoga means? You can let go of your thing for the sake of another. You can let go of your thing for the sake of another. Start with one and gradually increase to accommodate the entire creation. That's where Panchamaha comes in. Are you able to follow? Panchamaha from the beginning teaches us to accommodate. Panchamaha from the beginning teaches us to accommodate everything together. Deva Rishi Pitru Manushya Bhuta. We have spoken about it any number of times. Deva Rishi Pitru Manushya. You accommodate. Everything in creation, you accommodate. Now, if you have to accommodate, you cannot act on your Ragadvesha. Why? Because there's a conflict. Conflicting Ragadvesha. What is a conflicting Ragadvesha? I like chocolate. My daughter also likes chocolate. I hide from her and eat. And then I come and teach Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Does it make any sense? It is absurdities. Are you able to follow? Therefore, asamartyaha, because you don't have the samartyam, Arjuna, perform actions for my sake. Maturity is resolving the conflict. Not having a conflict is animal. Not having a conflict is animal. Human beings has to transcend and resolve the conflict, transcend the conflict. Are you able to understand the difference? Animals don't have conflict at all. Therefore, there's no problem for them. But human beings will have conflicts. Again, we have the potential to transcend the conflict. In order to transcend the conflict, we need to have certain, we need to understand the law and we need to obey the law, etc. Take a simple example, anger. You have the anger itself is because of Raga Dvesha interrupted. And you acted on anger, the consequences of it is sadness. Level number 1, there is a problem. Level number 2, there is a problem. That anger and sadness combined will make you to do something else later. Now, thus you create a vicious cycle. Mahashanaihi mahapapma vidyenam iha vairinam. Wherever Ragadvesha has entered discussion, the emphasis have shifted to Karma Yoga. Remember that. Wherever ignorance is emphasized, Jnanam will be the, wherever Jnanam is emphasized, ignorance is being tackled there. Wherever Karma Yoga comes in, Ragadvesha is being tackled. See, all these basic Shastric methods of teaching we should have mastered by now. At least theoretically, yeah, not about following and all. Who knows about following? When you perform Nitya Karma, when you perform this Nitya Karma, what are you doing? You are not creating disharmony. When you perform actions on Raga Dvesha, you are creating disharmony. Disharmony within yourself first. And the disharmony within yourself will flow into the outer world. Are you able to follow? When you act on Raga Dvesha, there is disharmony inside. When there is a disharmony inner, that inner disharmony will flow into the external world also. If you can't do this, if you are unable to do even this, which is where we are going to go into another set of elaboration, which we introduced already, verse number 11. Next week, we will move into verse number 11. As in, If you can't even do this, samarthyam illa, therefore do, because you don't have samarthyam, do karma yoga, nishkama karma. Supposing you say, I can't do even nishkama karma. If you are unable to do even nishkama karma, what to do? He is giving another set of things, which will be the starting point of spiritual journey. From the highest, he is coming down, is coming down, is coming down. Now, how do we, after 11, how do we understand? 11 becomes the starting point. After finishing 11, how do we understand this whole thing? We reverse it completely. Verse number 11 becomes step number 1. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. It goes in that order. Krishna came down. Yeah, Avatar Purusha, no, he is. He will come down only. Avatar means one who has descended. Avatar. But we are all not avatars here, Amit. Therefore, we only do Krishna because of Avatar Purusha, he descended. We mortal human beings, we focus on ascending order. Our only descending order. Now we understand it and then we'll make it into the ascending order. Verse number 11 is a beautiful starting point. And then he give up. If you can't do that also, Kolatur. If I can't do that also, Lord Yama will take care in his loka. Lord Yama will take care of you in his loka. And when Lord Yama takes care of you in his loka, you will cry and jump out. You will cry and jump out where? Here. You know, no, Jairam. What is Yama taking care of in his loka? Yeah, we know how Yama takes care of in his loka. We know. Yeah. That's how Shankar helped us by creating that movie only, isn't it? Movie he showed it very beautifully. And it's true, literally it happens like that. Poke, 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 poke. One more poke, you will die. Immediately the doctor will come. Who? The heavenly doctors. Apply one ointment. Instantly you will become all right, healthy. So that next round starts. தெளிய வச்சு அடிப்பாங்க. அதுக்கு பேர் தான் இல்லையா? அதுக்கு பேர் தான் நரக. You follow? With this, we conclude for. Sorry. Yes, Ram Subramaniam. What's your problem?
Hari Om, sir.
Yes.
Just connecting back to the earlier question on how to bow down to others and seeing the God in others.
Yes.
So when just tying this to another question raised to Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, okay, when somebody went and asked, how do I treat others? So
Yes.
he responded saying there are no others. So my inference is you treat them the same way you treat yourself. So the earlier question on how to bow down to others and this Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi response, there are no others. Could you please help reconcile the two aspects?
See, when Ramana says, Ramana, you must understand, he is a Shuddha Advaita, pure Advaita, impractical. It is practical only to him. It is whatever he says is practical only for him. Because it is so easy for him, he thought, why it is difficult for others? See, after learning the bicycle, you think, why people can't learn how to cycle, no? After learning swimming, you will think, why people can't swim? Isn't it? So according to him, what are you talking about others and etc. and all that? There are no others means there is no Dvaitam. That is classic Ramana. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is addressing Arjuna from a different angle with a different set of situations and problems. Therefore, his explanations are very different. Not contradictory. He is not contradicting. It's not that Krishna cannot talk like Ramana. In fact, Krishna can talk much more beautiful than Ramana. Yeah, because of his skills, and at least Ramana didn't have that words skill and all. Krishna has. He's a Shrotriyam Brahmanisham kind of Avatara Purusha. Krishna is Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Yeah. And everything about Krishna is beautiful, no? Isn't it? Adaram, Maduram, Vadanam, Maduram, Nayanam, Maduram, Brahmitam, Maduram, Shamitam, Maduram. Everything is, where do you get up? And that person is giving something which is very, very relevant, as in bowing down to other human beings is not bowing down to God. There is no bowing down to other human beings. Remember that. There is no bowing down to other human beings. There is only a gratitude to others. Out of gratitude, if you say bowing down, that's a different practice we are talking about. But in relation to other human beings, it's only no dvesha. It's not about going and touching the feet of everybody, saying you are God, you are God, you are God, and we want to murder the fellow whose feet I am touching, isn't it? Where is it, Prabhu? Are you able to follow? Ram Subramaniam.
Yes.
Ramana is pure Advaita. He doesn't agree to anything. Therefore, bringing him into this context is quoting Ramana out of context. Yes, if you bring in Ramana when we are discussing Kenopanishad, it will make sense. Because he talks only that. Because he talks about Chaitanyam, he talks about consciousness, he doesn't talk about anything else. Wherever you want to bring about consciousness studies, you bring Ramana. Wherever we talk about Abhyasa, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and all, Ramana is irrelevant to this context. Why? Because he doesn't speak anything like that. Number two, we cannot extrapolate and stretch it beyond that. It means neither we are understanding Ramana nor we know what we are saying. Whatever we say, we want to put it in Ramana's mouth. Don't do that. You follow? That's why each and every word we take, each and every word that he is taking, and I'm explaining the word here. It means it's a context. It can't be distributed all over. You follow?
Yeah.
We'll
Okay,
continue.
thank you.
Yeah. We'll continue with verse number 11 onwards. Thank you.